Alright, you read the title. The Switch 2 is going to have a secret weapon. If rumors are to be believed, then the Switch 2's launch is going to be pretty massive. However, you know what other console had a great launch? The Switch 1. And while the Switch 2 is going to improve on the Switch 1 in plenty of ways, such as being more powerful and hey, look, this is actually a new Mario Kart rather than a port, let's be honest, the chance of the Switch 2 actually having a more successful launch than the Nintendo Switch is pretty slim, just because the Switch itself did so well right out the gate. The Switch 2 is going to have a new Mario Kart and a rumored 3D Mario within its first year. And those are absolutely massive for sales, but if you're not into Mario, yes, it's possible, something else would be nice. Well, guess what? Masahiro Sakurai teased a new game he was working on a while ago on his YouTube channel, and has very recently been promoting the heck out of this upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. So yeah, you read the title. The Nintendo Switch 2 has a secret weapon, and I believe it is something Sakurai is making, because, well, he is making something. He's promoting the heck out of this exact presentation. What Masahiro Sakurai is making could very well be the Nintendo Switch 2's secret weapon. But what exactly is it that he's working on? Well, that's what this video is going to be all about. Let's get the elephant out of the way first. Yeah, so if you know who Masahiro Sakurai is, it is probably because of the Super Smash Bros. Series. Not only has he personally appeared on camera for plenty of Smash Bros. Presentations, creating a relationship between us, the player, and him, the developer, that we really don't get for that many other franchises, but also Sakurai has been directing Smash Bros. Games for a while now. Looking at his most recently directed games, they're almost exclusively Smash Bros. Titles. And it makes sense, they sell so well, are absolutely huge for the fan base, and I don't want another one. Okay, there will definitely be another Smash Bros. Game, and I'll be excited when it inevitably gets announced. But if we're talking about one game that Masahiro Sakurai could be directing for Switch 2, I don't really hope it's Smash Bros. Right away. Smash Ultimate came out almost 6.5 years ago now. That is a long time. However, it doesn't feel that long, like at all. I don't know if it's because the DLC extended for so long, or if it's because Ultimate is, well, just that, the ultimate Smash Bros. Game, but it doesn't really feel like we need a new one. Yes, they could completely change up the core mechanics, making it into maybe like a 3D fighter instead of a platform fighter, but then it's not really Smash Bros. Anymore. Yes, they could redo the game and add in stuff like Subspace, which would be cool, but it's like, we already got that. I don't know, Masahiro Sakurai is one of my favorite directors of all time, and I will make it clear, I am a very casual Smash Bros. Player. I hop on Donkey Kong, grab people, and chuck them off the stage. That's pretty much my only move. So I can understand why hardcore Smash heads really want another Smash Bros. Game, and I can also understand why casual Smash Bros. Fans might want another one just so that they can take another stab at Subspace Emissary, which was pretty cool, but for me personally, I am just bored. Additionally, and more importantly though, I don't think Sakurai wants to make another one either. He specified when announcing that he was working on a new project on his YouTube channel that he came to Nintendo with a new game proposal rather than Nintendo coming to him and asking him to make another Smash game like seems to have been the case for prior entries. Obviously, this proposal could be for a new Smash game, but considering the man has been working on Smash Bros. Consistently since the start of development for Smash 3DS and Wii U, I would not be surprised if he wrote a proposal for something not Smash Bros. Related. I mean, I could completely understand why. So in my mind, Sakurai's not directing a Smash Bros. Game, but what is he directing? Well, he created the Kirby franchise, which also just blows my mind. Like, this man created Kirby, but I don't think he's working on another Kirby game. After Kirby Air Ride, which is one of my favorite GameCube games of all time, Sakurai seemed pretty clear that he was stepping away from Kirby. And with HAL Laboratories finally making the jump into 3D with Kirby and the Forgotten Land, it seems like a weird time for Sakurai to then come back and also direct another Kirby game. Yeah, I don't think he's working on Kirby. Well, what else has he done? He made Kirby, he made Smash Bros. He also made Kid Icarus Uprising, which again is one of my favorite games of all time. Are you guys noticing a pattern here? Kid Icarus Uprising is a banger on the 3DS, and okay, well, I would just like to say I really want this game not on the 3DS. I would love to see it ported over, but I don't think Sakurai would be working on a port or remaster. And also, Kid Icarus just doesn't really seem like the type of game Nintendo would ask Sakurai to make for year one of a console. Yes, Kid Icarus Uprising came out really early on the 3DS, but that also didn't really work out in terms of sales and popularity. The 3DS had a notoriously horrible launch, but the reason Kid Icarus Uprising was made on the 3DS so early was to show off the power. Nintendo came to Sakurai and said, we want you to make a game featuring Kid Icarus to show off the power of the 3DS. And showing off the power of the Switch 2 is going to be a pretty big selling point of the Switch 2 because the power upgrade is one of the major upgrades in this console. I don't see Sakurai making another Kid Icarus game because I feel like that's just too much of a risk for Nintendo. It didn't really work out last time, and if they were going to do another Kid Icarus game, I feel like they would port over Kid Icarus Uprising, and that way they could gauge the lay of the land a little bit However, the idea of Sakurai reviving a series, oh, I like that. Let's talk about one thing that I think Sakurai could be working on, and that is a new F-Zero. Yes, I am serious. Sakurai does have racing game experience in the past with Kirby Air Ride, which again is one of my favorite racing games ever. And also, if you think about it, Captain Falcon is only relevant because of Smash Bros. Sakurai has single-handedly basically kept this franchise alive, while Nintendo has been doing their best to just forget it ever existed and sweep it under the rug. Yes, I'm working under the assumption that the brand new Mario Kart game is launching with Switch 2, because it almost definitely is. And I understand that having an F-Zero and a Mario Kart within the first year of a console might be a little weird because they're both racing games, but they're so different. And F-Zero specifically will show off the power of the console because you're moving so fast and the graphics are just more realistic. Let's talk about another IP Sakurai could reinvent, that is Star Fox. This is like the other forgotten Nintendo IP in my mind that really has only been kept alive because of Smash Bros. Yes, Star Fox has actually gotten new entries like Star Fox Zero, but like Star Fox Zero, they're just not, I mean, I don't know. First of all, it's hard to even call Star Fox Zero a new entry because it's like a remake or reimagining of Star Fox 64, which I feel like every Star Fox game is a reimagining of one game. Well, also, Star Fox Zero was kind of terrible. This is a series that is screaming for a complete shakeup with a cool new story, new gameplay mechanics, and that seems like something Sakurai would actually do. But okay, we've talked about F-Zero and Star Fox. Are those the type of games that Nintendo is going to go to Masahiro Sakurai for and ask him to make? I think it would be cool, and he could definitely revive both those series. I mean, he was shown to be able to expertly revive a series with Kid Icarus Uprising, but let's talk about some stuff that would actually sell well. I already said I don't think he's working on Smash Bros, but what if he's working on a different type of Nintendo crossover? Yes, the idea of all of Nintendo's characters coming together for a non-fighting game has been tossed around within the community. And while I don't think this is necessarily what he's working on, I think it's too interesting not to discuss. What if Sakurai is making an RPG with a bunch of Nintendo characters? This could have the story of a Smash Bros game without actually having to be a Smash Bros game. Through Master Hand, Crazy Hand, the Bizarre Taboo, Galeem, the Master Core, I think that's what that was called. Sakurai has been known to kind of put a story into most Smash Bros games. This isn't like a grand story, but it's generally a pretty poignant one about creativity, the loss of innocence, and what happens when you have to grow up. These stories have always been in the mega way background, but if Sakurai was able to make an RPG, he could essentially make the story he wants in a new subspace without it being tied to Subspace's gameplay, which in my opinion, I don't know if this is controversial, Subspace's gameplay is not that fun. The platform fighter Smash Bros style of gameplay doesn't translate too well into a single player campaign like that. I don't know, I think that could be interesting. And obviously a Nintendo crossover would sell really well, but now let's move on to my final idea. This is the one I actually think he is working on. Everything else I've talked about in this video is just like fun ideas that I would be like, oh, that would be cool. Like it would be cool to see him reinvent F-Zero or Star Fox, and it would be cool to see him work on an RPG with other Nintendo characters. But what do I think he's actually working on? And what's more valuable than something that would sell really well? I think Sakurai's probably working on a new IP. New intellectual property is the most valuable thing in this industry, even more than a game that sells incredibly well. I mean, just look at Splatoon. Not only has Splatoon blossomed into its own series, each installment selling extremely well, but it's an entirely new franchise with a new world and characters, which means lots of new merch. I mean, lots of new merch. Like Splatoon merch goes crazy. They have so much of that stuff, and they have so much of it because people keep buying it because it sells really well and makes the company a lot of money. A new IP also is just something that would instantly set the Switch 2 apart. They even tried this before with ARMS. Having a new IP dedicated to this new console will make the Switch 2 at a glance different from the original Switch because it'll be playing something that just has not been seen on the Switch 1. Now here's why a new IP could be so good. First of all, Sakurai, as I mentioned, literally created Kirby. He has the sauce. He has the ability to take nothing and create iconic characters, locations, and gameplay mechanics from it. Sakurai would also finally be fully unchained from series and genre. The man could cook with pretty much no restrictions coming in. Now, it is extremely dumb to try and predict a new IP. It's less like trying to find a needle in a haystack and more like trying to find a specific strand of hay in a haystack. But I'll try, here we go. Alright, here's my logic. Sakurai excels at balancing accessibility with depth. In his games, players can always jump in and have fun, but those who dig deeper will find additional layers of complexity that reward you for the time you put into the game. Sakurai has also always emphasized player control and fluidity in his action-based gameplay. Once again, Smash Bros is a prime example of his focus on precise, satisfying combat mechanics that can still somehow be enjoyed by players of all skill levels. Sakurai also empowers player agency as well, whether it's different fighters, different weapons, or different vehicles. He lets people seriously customize how they play. So taking all that into account, what's the gameplay of Sakurai Sakurai's new IP. It's a battle royale. No, I'm serious, but it'll have a Sakurai twist. Imagine this, you're exploring an open world with your squad, multiplayer, fighting monsters, and upgrading your characters into a specific build. There's no enemy teams here, you're just in a massive open world with your friends in a co-op PvE thing where you're just trying to fight monsters so you can upgrade your guys, but then at the end of maybe a time limit, teams get placed into a death match. So this entire thing is kind of like City Trial from Kirby Air Ride, where you ride around a city upgrading your vehicle and then get placed into like a mini game type finale. It's kind of like City Trial mixed with a bit of a battle royale because you end up fighting each other at the end. Also with roguelike elements because you really get to create your own character class through that initial phase. This would be online, which Nintendo definitely wants to have some big Switch 2 online games come out within the first year of the console's life. It seems to capture all the gameplay elements I talked about earlier. It would balance accessibility with depth. It would have a lot of emphasis on player agency. And also this type of game could easily show off the power of the Switch 2. You and a bunch of friends running around an open, seamless world, slaying monsters, and then eventually having to duke it out in like a PvPvP type area. That would show off the power of the Switch 2, but who knows? Sakurai could also be making a farming simulator. Legit, nobody knows what he's working on. That's just my stab for what I think a cool new IP would be from Masahiro Sakurai, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sakurai is one of my favorite directors. I, again, love Kirby Air Ride, love Kid Icarus Uprising, and I'm a big Smash Bros fan as well. Way more into the casual side of Smash Bros than the competitive, like, ultra sweats. But all I know is that whenever Sakurai makes a game, there's a decent chance I personally will enjoy it, and I'm really excited to see what he's making for Switch 2. I think it'll be the console's secret weapon, and although it's pretty much impossible to guess what this man is working on, again, he created Kirby and Smash Bros and also made a Kid Icarus game, so it's like, what, you know, what? He could pretty much be doing anything, but I just wanted to toss some of my ideas into the ring because I genuinely firmly believe we will see what he's working on in this April presentation. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, let me know down in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm Thomas from the Switch Stop signing off. Peace.